Hi, this is Doug from Dynamic Computing, and welcome to a special edition of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. This week marks my 2-year anniversary of the creation of my channel and starting my shows. August 12th, 2018 is when I started getting things rolling. Now, it feels like it was just yesterday that I was doing my 1-year anniversary. Time really flies, especially this year. It's also the 75th official episode of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. Now it's generally, I try to do a weekly program, so I have 75 editions or episodes of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, 26 episodes of the Chicken Head Chronicles, and a few little random other ones mixed in there, and every once in a while I skip a week when something comes up. Today's also a special one because it's really going to be just about 10 minutes long. Honest. And from here on out, all of my future videos will be 10 minutes in length. Where'd that come from? Well, this week, I've decided to have some fun and build a brand new machine. Now, a lot of you saw my episode a couple of weeks back about the awesome UnAmiga project from Edu Arana. I'll put his contact information down there. And basically, for those of you that don't know, it's a new motherboard that's using something similar to a Mister. It's using a Cyclone 5 board to emulate, well, no, not even emulate, actually recreate something along the lines of an Amiga 1200 running at about 25 megahertz with 20 megabytes of fast RAM, which is pretty cool. Plays almost every AGA and ECS game I throw at it through WHD load. Also runs demos just fine, as you can see, plays music, and it runs Workbench just fine. Now, originally I put my board in my beautiful Checkmate 1500 case from Stephen Jones, but that was never going to be the permanent location. I just wanted to experiment with it and see how it fit. And now that case, as you probably know, houses my beautiful Vampire machine, and that's where it's going to stay. You may also remember from both mine and Amigo Aaron's reviews of the UnAmiga that the mounting holes are just a little bit off, literally like a millimeter, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters off from mounting perfectly. So if I was going to use it in that case, I would have to drill out the holes a little bit to make them fit. No big deal, but I thought I had a better plan. So my mind began to wander, as it often does, and I started thinking I needed a new solution for my UnAmiga. Now, I considered ordering just another keyboard, which would work just fine if I were to put it in my Amiga 500 case. It didn't have a spare keyboard. I was using that on my Checkmate. Would have worked okay, but I thought I could do even one better. I started thinking about a fun way that I could use the integrated PS2 mouse and keyboard ports and the ability to handle 2 joysticks at a time if I use those ports. And I thought about this clever all-in-one Amiga that you see behind me. Now, I knew I wanted to use a 4:3 aspect ratio monitor to keep the aspect ratio of the Amiga correct, and the monitor also needed to run in both NTSC and PAL resolutions to look the best. So that narrowed my choices quite a bit, and I ended up with this really beautiful Acer 19-inch monitor. Sorry about that, kids at home. This nice monitor handles all the resolutions I need just fine, and really does a great job at displaying the image. I also knew that I needed some kick-butt speakers for any Amiga that I put together. So I took the advice of my friend Cody from Pixel Gaiden, you know, the one who was completely wrong about Galaga the other week. These are Creative Lab speakers, and they've got some serious volume to them. They have a really good sound, really good bass, really good everything to them. So see, Cody, you're officially an influencer now. The UnAmiga, which I'll show you in a second, has a beautiful 3.5-inch or 3.5 millimeter audio jack to go along with its 2 RCA cable jacks. And the RCA jack works great, but the 3.5 millimeter gives you an even enhanced sound out of the Amiga. Now, I also wanted a nice black mouse to go along with it, and a black keyboard. And I actually found a black PS2 keyboard from one of the used shops in the area, but the darn thing didn't work. I hooked it up, no response. So I used one of my spare silver and black compact keyboards. It actually works really good, and it's going to be easy for me to replace if I need to. So let's take a look at how we got everything set up on this all-in-one UnAmiga. So how do we mount the UnAmiga to the back of a monitor? Well, most of these monitors of this generation are able to be wall mounted, so they have the screw holes for wall mounts, which also means there's a nice maybe half-inch gap between the back of the monitor and the sensitive electronics and the actual screen back here. So I took some really nice tiny little screws there and there, pre-drilled some holes, and screwed this onto the back of the monitor. Now, if you try a monitor and it's not big enough back here for those screw holes, you've got a mounting hole here, a mounting hole here, here, and here that you could use instead. I really recommend pre-drilling the holes a little bit with the power off to make sure that you're going to have clearance and not hit any sensitive electronics. Because the UnAmiga uses an actual VGA cable, I didn't want a 12-mile long VGA cable running here. So I found this cool, it's like a 8 or 12-inch VGA cable on Amazon. Just plugs in here, coils around neatly, and plugs right into the back. For the speakers, like I mentioned, they just plug right into this 3.5 millimeter jack. If you want, you could use the RCA jacks, and some monitors of the generation had built-in speakers, and you could use those if you want to. Generally, you can either route the 3.5 millimeter jack into the monitor if it has speakers, or some of them even have RCA jacks. Now, the keyboard and mouse are nice, PS2 keyboard and mouse, because that leaves these two joystick ports available for using your joysticks on. Now, I'm using this little clone pad here. This is like a Genesis pad or something like that. I can't even remember what it is, but it works great. B and C works as button 1 and button 2. So even for those 2 button supported Amiga games, this works just fine. Now, if you're paranoid about drilling into your monitor, okay, and you don't want to do that, just pick up some nice 30-pound double-sided tape. This is really nice, thick, double-sided tape used for really hanging heavy things on the wall. Put a couple strips in the back of here, you're golden. No problem at all. We also have some headers right here for floppy LEDs, power LEDs, and hard drive LEDs. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to route a few nice little cables up around here and probably mount some LEDs up in the front corner so I can actually see the hard drive and floppy activity on the UnAmiga. I think that'll be kind of cool. Power is right here, and right now I do have to reach around to plug to turn the power on, but it's no big deal. I'm sure there's a way that I could finagle the power switch that's designed to work with the Checkmate case right here, and probably figure out a way to route a little tiny switch out to the front so I can actually turn the power on from the front too. Shouldn't be too hard to figure out. Now, power to the actual unit. Of course, the monitor needs its own kettle type plug, and the UnAmiga and the Creative Lab speakers both need a USB connection. So I just use a standard USB charger plugged directly into the wall for both the UnAmiga and the speakers, and I'm golden. And then when we turn it around, we can just hit the little power button right on the back, and she powers right up. Now I can just use the gamepad right here to get in and pick whatever game I wanna play. Let's find a good one here. We'll get some nice Banshee AGA started up here for you real quick. And you can see the UnAmiga plays this AGA game full speed, no issues at all. So what would I do different about this? Well, number one, there were in the past some wireless PS2 keyboards and mice. I used to have them, threw them away years ago. they're really hard to find now. So I'm looking for a nice wireless keyboard and mouse combo for PS2 to get rid of even some more wires. Second, it'd be really cool to have a little black cover for the back of the UnAmiga, maybe that just snaps right on or something, just to cover up the UnAmiga, offer it a little protection in the back, make it look even cooler, make it look even more all-in-one. I personally think it's a pretty cool setup. This thing runs anything I ever really wanted it to, and it runs it pretty well too, being an equivalent of an Amiga 1200, 25 megahertz with 20 megs of RAM. That'll run just about anything that you throw at it, including Workbench programs. With the new memory add-on that Edu Arana is selling for the version 1.4 that I have, and that comes included with the new version 1.5, we're going to be able to add a Commodore 64 core to this little guy, an MSX core, and a Spectrum Next core, from what I understand. This all-in-one machine is going to be able to run all of those computers right there with a keyboard, mouse, joystick support, everything built right in. That's going to be pretty cool. Now, of course, you can do this same thing. If you have a Mister, you can mount that on the back. If you have a Raspberry Pi, especially the new Raspberry Pi 4, that would be slick, making an all-in-one machine out of this, just mounting it on the back. And even the Vampire Standalone you could probably use. I do want to take a moment to thank my wonderful patrons. You can become a patron at patreon.com/10mark for as little as $2 a month. Lots of perks included there too. And I would like to thank my brand new patrons, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, and my good pals from Cityxen. But let's take a look at this blatant advertisement for the new Amiga Art Contest that you need to join. And a thank you to my patrons. Thanks for taking a few minutes to take a look at my cool new setup. Please like and subscribe. Please comment below and tell me how I can make this even better. What cool things can I do to make this even better? But until next time, this is Doug from 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, starting my 3rd year, signing out.